Hello, world! You are watching live to a special edition podcast, a Sunday night show, previewing a Monday night show. We got meaningful football in January. It's wonderful. How we doing? How we doing?
Hooday! Hooday! Take down the Bills!
Dad froze. Bengal Dad is fuzzy right now. It is coming through, but he is having technical difficulties. So he may be popping in and out tonight.
I met Pete Rose yesterday. I can
get.
Oh, we're choppy. We're choppy. We're good now. Just to reiterate what he said, he ran in to Peter Edward Rose yesterday in a casino, which is now a normal thing because we can gamble now. And speaking of that, Betfred, James, take it away.
Hey, guess what? It's legal now. Legal. You can go
marijuana, right? No.
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about. No, you can go straight on your phone. Go onto the app, the Betfred app. Let me pull that up for you real quick. Betfred app. Boom. You pull this up. Gets you all the odds, everything you want. And you go in there, click the button. Please use our code betfredsports.com/Ohio/Bengals12 to get registered today. As you saw, Peter Edward Rose put a bet at the Hard Rock Casino at midnight. He was the man to start it off and use it. That's it. That's it. I'm not reading that whole big thing now because now it's not about getting pre-registered. It's about getting registered. Let's do this.
All right. And as our other sponsor, always, the beloved Brimminghorn Meadery. Brimminghorn! Do you like honey? Do you like wine? Do you like getting a nice little legal buzz? Well, some of us do too. Brimminghorn Meadery. Get your stuff out of Delaware, except you, Montana. Can't ship there. Use our code HOODAY9. Minimum 2-bottle order. Helps pay for shipping. 15% off. Keep us going. Keep them going. Keep a happy sponsor going. Even though they're in Delaware, they're big Bengal fans. That's why they got a King of the North bottle that they do every once in a blue moon. Hope they can bring it back around again shortly.
That's right.
Well, we got stuff to talk about tonight. We do. Meanwhile, I need you guys to root for me because I placed my first legal bet tonight in the state of Ohio. Bengal Dad, I sent it to you. Did you read it or not?
I saw it. It's pretty remarkable. I don't think anything's out of line.
I don't think anything's out of question.
I question Pickett going for over 190.
Maybe, but I'll go ahead and read it. Make sure we're all on the same page here.
Yeah.
I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 1.5. I've got Najee Harris scoring a touchdown anytime. I got Pickens scoring a touchdown anytime. I got Pickett going over 193.5, so he needs 194 passing. I got Najee Harris going over 56.5, so he needs 57 rushing. I need Najee Harris going over or at 12 yards receiving. I think that's doable too. I need Kenny Pickett at alternate passing, which is just another parlay you can do, at 200 plus yards. If I hit all 7 of those, I turn my $25 into $1,900. So help me out. Come on, Steelers. Make me some money.
Sorry.
Help me out. Help the Bengals out. Make me a little bit richer. If I win that $1,900, I'm not going to help you guys out at all. It would just be really cool for me because I'm kind of poor. So let's do this. Come on, Najee. Come on, Pickett. Come on, Pickens. Do something for me tonight.
Santori parlay of the week, baby.
Then whatever. Yeah, that's my parlay of the week. Let's see.
2-day portion.
Bengal Dad, do you want to try to give us a rundown of some current scores? You're crystal clear right now.
Am I? Well, I don't have it in front of me, but let me. I'll go to NFL.com while we're.
This is where we start to break down. I'm sure. The Buckin' Broncos. Well, I'm going to blame the officials on that one, and that's something you never hear me say.
Yeah, I don't do that too often, but that was bad.
There was some very questionable OPIs, some very, very questionable not roughing the passers on the WWE Stone Cold Stunner that was dropped on.
Here, you want some latest and updated scores?
Give me the latest and greatest.
You got the Vegas Raiders, the team that we are going to be big rooting fans for, hopefully, next week. 24-21 over the Niners.
Ooh.
I will tell you, I've watched Stidham, the new quarterback. He don't look like he's afraid of anything. I like it. He's got a gunslinger mentality.
All right. It's probably why it didn't work out in New England.
We got the Seahawks up over the Jets 20-6. I mean, he has a little bit of impact, but not much of anything. I think the surprise game in the NFC right now, even though they've had a special team score and a pick six, the Packers over the Vikings 27-3. Packers are in with 2 consecutive wins, believe it or not, as bad as they've been.
That's wild.
Chargers up by 14 on Baker Mayfield and his Rams, 24-10. And that's it for all the live games this afternoon.
All right.
Stranger parlay.
Yeah. I like that.
No,
we'll chop that a bit.
All right.
Burrow for MVP and Bengals to win the Super Bowl.
I like that, pork chop. I like that.
That's right.
You're probably going to lose money on the MVP. I don't think the league's going to let that happen unless he absolutely tears it up these next 2 weeks.
Right.
I just think that's probably already decided. I thought it was going to be Jalen Hurts, and then he decided he was going to get hurt, and so I guess it's back to Patty Mahomes now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Mahomes didn't look great today, he didn't look great against the Bengals. I don't know how he's going to look against the Raiders. I mean, if Burrow cleans house the next 2 weeks, I don't know how he couldn't leap him.
Right.
There's enough time.
Oh, easily. Yeah, because they're not blowing teams out. They're winning by 3 points, 4 points, 7 points. It's not like it's all one-score games here lately, and it's against bad teams.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, 100 air. I love that. There is an interesting game that I believe these teams flip-flop in the standings now. The Patriots beat the Dolphins by 2, and from what I heard, the Patriots now are in the 7th spot.
They are.
Yes.
And you really – and this is going to sound really weird. I needed – and I'm going to say we on this just because this is just a mentality thing that I think a lot of people carry over.
Mm-hmm.
You needed the Patriots to win that one because it keeps the Steelers alive, and you want the Steelers to win tonight. I would have hated for the Patriots to lose and the Steelers to get deflated and then the Ravens just to walk all over them. Because it doesn't matter for the division what the Bengals do tomorrow. That comes down to the last game of the year regardless.
Right.
So,
starting at 8:15 tonight, there's some really good football moving forward all the way through next weekend.
Yes.
You got the Steelers tonight with the Ravens. Obviously, we know what the impact there. Obviously, tomorrow night's game is one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game of the year in the NFL. Then you got Kansas City next week, who I think is going to be struggling a little bit against the Raiders, from what I can see. You got obviously the Bengals going for the division, or what? Maybe they'll get the division tomorrow if everything goes right. But you got that game. You got Jacksonville, who looks like they are on a nonstop trajectory to the division title.
They're on
playing Tennessee, who doesn't look like they can get out of their own way.
Here, we want to talk about seeding really quick. I always bring up my playoff predictor site because they've got the formula down, and sometimes some of these NFL sites don't update right away. But as of this very moment, and it's asking me to do my little ad blocker thing. So hold on, let me refresh. As of this very moment, the Tennessee Titans are currently the 11 seed. You want to talk about falling from the graces?
But they move to the 3 seed if they win next week.
Yeah. Well, the 4. We're the 3. They're going to catch us.
4 seed. 4. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so between. Let's assume the Raiders win tonight. I'm not assuming that, but just
I wouldn't assume that one. But
for sake of this exercise, I'm going to assume it. Seed 13 through Well, even 3, because the Bengals and Ravens could flip-flop as much as people don't want to hear it. So, and the Bengals could get, I mean, Jesus, the Bengals can still get a 1 if some wacky shit happens. 1 through 13 is currently up for grabs with a week and a half to go. That's how tight the AFC is right now. There's the only thing that can't happen is like the Bengals can't get a 4 because the number 4 seed is going to the AFC South, and then the top 3 teams right now have already out-clinched the number 7 seed. So with the exception of those couple scenarios,
Right.
there's only 3 teams eliminated, and everything else is up for grabs.
And are they still alive for the 6?
Who's that?
The Bengals. Would they like?
That's the lowest seed they can get as a 6
Okay.
at this moment.
Yeah, so that's
They can get a 1, 2, 3, 5, or 6. They can't get a 4. They can't get a 7.
Yeah.
And they're not going to miss. So, I mean, worst case scenario, they end up going to the number 2 seed, which is most likely going to be Buffalo. So, worst case scenario is you go to Buffalo in the first round, which I'm not a fan of that scenario at all, just because that's not an easy place to play. Best case scenario, you don't do anything the first week. So, I mean, it's all over the place right now. It's still very much up for grabs.
which like Bengal Dad was talking about makes for some very interesting football with all these teams still alive.
Well,
the other thing that's going to be interesting is who are the 2 teams or the 4 teams that the NFL is going to slot to play Saturday. Because there's 2 games Saturday next week.
have they not determined who plays Saturday yet?
We're not going to determine that until probably after tomorrow night's game.
Oh, I hate that. I really hate
And
that.
you know they're not
I would
gonna
hate
wanna
not
put-
knowing what day I play next week because
They're not going to want to put 2
schedule.
clunkers on Saturday afternoon.
No.
Right.
No.
That's not going to happen. The Bengals could be playing, and I wouldn't be able to watch it, and that would kill me. I won't be able to go. I won't be able to watch. It's going to piss me off.
Could the Bengals potentially play Saturday? Is that a thing?
See,
I mean, again, if you're the NFL and you've got 2 games slotted for Saturday, aren't you wanting to put 2 really good games on Saturday?
let me stop you there real quick because according to ESPN, every game is on Sunday. They're all TBD, according to ESPN.
No, if you go to the NFL, I think it's on NFL.com. There are 2 games that are going to be played Saturday that are yet to be determined. They're going to select games out of the pool of games from Week 18 and move 2 of them to Saturday.
I would absolutely hate that as a coach. I would
Well,
despise.
I think the one reason the Bengals and the Bills will not be selected as 2 of the teams is because they both play Monday night.
Yeah.
I think that will probably keep that from happening to the Bengals.
For
Yes.
week 18 on the NFL.com, there's no day on there. It just says week 18 and everything is
Everything on the entire schedule says TBD for NFL.com.
Yeah, I'll have to find. I'll find where I saw it, but it says week 18, and it will say January 7th and January 8th. I saw it on some.
Well, I can tell you what they'll do is they're not going to put anything Saturday that clinches the division because they're not going to want people going into Sunday to not want to watch.
I agree with that.
That's why I
They'll
thought
put
everything was on the
something
same
in
page.
there like the Eagles and Cowboys, right? They're close, but I'm pretty sure the Eagles have the tiebreaker. So what they'll do is they'll put like the Cowboys on so that if they win, it comes down to Philly. They won't put Philly on because if then Philly wins, it just wipes the Cowboys out.
And that's why I thought everything was on Sunday because they've got all the same division playing at in the same time slot.
Right. So what they're going to do is they're going to, I'll call it backload the divisional games. So if there's a game that outright clinches it, like a win and that's us, that'll be Sunday. If there's a game that's win and stay alive and then you need help, that'll be your Saturday game.
I just don't see how you can not tell them until Tuesday.
Right.
Like that's lame.
They'll
That's why I think they're all on Sunday.
They've probably already got a pretty good idea. I mean, they're not going to keep them completely in the dark because there's travel arrangements that have to be made. There's going to be hotels that need to be booked. There's practice schedules and doctor's appointments and surgeries and everything that goes along with an entire NFL week. I'm sure they probably already have a pretty good idea. I'm sure there's some teams that have already been told, hey, if the Raiders lose tonight, you guys are Saturday. So they've already probably got 2 sets of practice schedules. Like, hey, we're gonna prep to be on Saturday, and then for some reason we're Sunday, then we're gonna treat it as a bonus day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably my guess.
I'm looking to see if Yahoo says anything.
Yeah, Stranger's pretty spot on. Kansas City looks very vulnerable. Kansas City just doesn't look. They used to look like Goliath out there the last couple of years. Where it's just like they're going to put up 50 points and you're just going to have to fucking deal with it. And now it's like
I don't think they don't chunk it down the field as well as they used to, and their defense is average at best.
Their defense is average, and here's the thing: they can still score a lot of points. So when people say, "Oh, they lost Tyreek Hill and they're still fine," that's not necessarily true. They're still fine. They still put up a ton of points. You still Patrick Mahomes. You still got good receivers out there doing their thing. But what you lose is the same thing that the Bengals have lost just by teams schematically approaching them different. You don't have that 80-yard bang in one play. I mean, how many times do you have a 50, 60, 70-yard play over the last 2 to 3 years, Bengals or Chiefs? And it was like, okay, we're back in it. Well, when you don't have that, you can't blow teams out of the water.
Well, what you got is you don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. And without Tyreek Hill, you can roll a little more of the coverage to
Juju.
The 87. Freaking selling, whatever his name is. You roll the
Uh-oh, we're frozen.
You roll the coverage to him,
We're good.
and he's not as dynamic as he was.
No, I mean, you can, even if you don't roll the coverage, I mean, you could bracket him, double team. I'm sure it's probably what you meant. But there's so many more. There's more options. It's not like when you play the Bengals and you're like, oh shit, I can't afford to not pay attention to all of these guys. Most teams, if you've got a halfway decent number 2, can go one-on-one with Juju and be okay. Juju's a good receiver. Don't get me wrong. He's probably slightly better than average. I'm not going to say anything great about him. I just don't think he is. I think he's a good compliment. But he's not someone that's going to take over a game if you get him on an Eli Apple. It's Eli probably still shuts him down kind of thing. So you're missing that guy that scares the shit out of you. And even though they can still put up 30 points a game, they still are 5-0 in their division. They still are a number 2 seed or 1 seed. You take some slight dynamic away from it, and it does make you more vulnerable because you can just play your umbrella coverage like people are doing against the Bengals, and it takes 2 things to beat that. One of them, Patrick Mahomes does not possess. It takes intelligence, which he has. Joe Burrow has that. It also takes patience. Patrick Mahomes does not have patience. Andy Reid does not have patience. They're not willing to sit back there and nickel and dime and dink and dunk you for 15, 20 plays. They want at some point that 20-yard chunk, and you see it time and time again. He did it today where he threw a pick in the red zone. Stop. Just take what they give you, and eventually you'll score. They're missing that explosion downfield. They've got it a little bit with Hardman. They've got it a little bit with Tony, but they're not Tyreek. No. So they are more vulnerable, and it's strictly because teams aren't scared. They can just kind of play a normal defense now, and as long as you have a competent offense, because their pass rush isn't the same, you'll be fine.
Right.
Can we move to the Bengal-Bill game?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of things that I'm seeing on Twitter, and I've seen this more than just a couple times.
Yeah.
Got a haircut, everybody.
Got a haircut.
Yeah.
My dad's going to love hearing this, but one of my managers said he should probably clean that up. And I went, uh-oh. So I went and did it before it got back to my dad. So there's the answer.
You have a wise manager there. But no, one of the things that I'm seeing on Twitter, and I've seen it quite a few times now, there's a lot of people that think this is the game that finally Jamar Chase is going to explode and go off, because he really hasn't had that big explosion lately. And I think everybody really wants to see that. I mean, I'm not one that cares about individual stats. You know that. At least my son knows that.
Yeah.
I don't worry about that stuff in the game, but I just got a feeling if there's a game he's going to go off, this would be the perfect time in the perfect setting everything would just be it'd be like the perfect storm for him to go off in this game.
Now, I don't know enough about the Bills' rules. I haven't watched them. I honestly, I've watched a couple primetime games they've been on, but watching a game on TV and really diving into film are two vastly different ordeals. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are on defense. Is White going to be someone that switches over to Chase in the slot? Is he going to be someone that stays on one side? I don't know enough about Tre'Davious' White games. I don't know how well he's been playing coming off an injury. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention. I'll just plead ignorance on that one. But I do know that their secondary's kind of been musical chairs, which is not good to deal with. It's not good to deal with if you're playing one good receiver. They're playing three, and you have Hayden Hurst coming back for sure. So and I'm going to preface it with this from Matt here. If Isaiah blocks at right tackle, we'll be okay. I think you might see 30 to 40 points in the Bengals offense if Joe gets enough time.
Maybe I'm just ignorant, but I don't trust La'el Collins pass blocking.
Well,
Collins, I don't think that was a major loss. I really don't.
La'el Collins and Isaiah Prince. And here's the thing, and this goes into, do you buy Pro Football Focus or not? And when I say buy, I don't mean actually purchase it, but do you read into it? Do you believe it? Whatever. And I'll credit, because I always hate when I forget who puts it out there, but I'll credit Game On 513 for putting it out there, John. He posted 2 screenshots of just the grades. I haven't looked into the efficiency of the data, but the grades alone for Prince last year, which if you remember was mostly the playoffs, so a high level of competition, and Collins this year, which was mostly teams in the NFL. Their grades were identical. Pass block, run block, overall, copy and paste. Almost the same numbers. It seems like they're the same type of player. Good run blocker. They handle power well. They don't handle speed and finesse well. If that's the case, it doesn't sound like you're losing a whole hell of a lot. And it is the side that Burrow can see. So it's not his blind side. Burrow can see the front. I'm sure Burrow had to, okay this decision. I feel like they're going to run it by him at least. It might not be a total disaster. I know we've got PTSD from him, but we have PTSD from Hakeem Adeniji last year, and he's been fine this year. So who knows, man? You have no idea.
Bengal Dad, I know sometimes you and I don't agree on the same thing, but I can guarantee you, I'll say this, La'el Collins, you could argue that was the weakest link on our offensive line. Now, I still miss La'el Collins, don't get me wrong, but, he hasn't been, up here and all that. He's been okay, but like you say, not great or anything. But the thing I'm just upset, that just took me by surprise, is Isaiah Prince. So that's what's taking me by surprise. Because every time Hakeem Adeniji came in, he did a great job. But I think the thing with Prince is that he's a lot bigger. Is that why they want to start him over Adeniji? Or what's the deal?
I think he just handles power rushers a little better. He profiles better against what we're going against.
Rousseau?
Yeah, I think Rousseau's on that side. Again, I don't know.
I think he lines up all over, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me go Pro Football Focus because they have that data. Should have been more prepared for all of this.
No, while you're looking that up, when was Isaiah Prince actually activated and put on the practice squad? Because I know he was injured to start.
I don't know.
Because it's a little odd that all of a sudden now he's going to be our starting right tackle when he's taken 0 snaps in the entire year. That's the thing that I find odd, especially when Adeniji been coming in and he's been performing okay in the limited role that he's had, but he's actually had a role as opposed to Isaiah Prince, who has had none all year.
So Rousseau is going to line up on that side.
I agree, James. That is very odd that they're doing it. But this coaching staff has seemed to find a way every time there's an injury that everybody is scared about, they find a way to plug the hole and make it work.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it's going to work every time, but the odds are in our favor that they know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I trust the staff. That's the thing. I trust the staff. You look at Hayden Hurst when he went down, Wilcox. I'm like, what's going on here? And Wilcox, no Hayden Hurst, but he filled in. And like you said, Trenton Irwin came in and filled in. Everybody that's been hurt, somebody's filled in.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it's weird. Like I put it out. I put it out this week that I'm not an NFL coach, so they know that I don't.
Yeah, flat out they know. I'm not going to question this. I
What was that game? What was the game a few weeks ago when we were all the way down to Alan George as a defensive back, and he came in the game and did just fine?
I think it was
Carolina.
No, I think it might have been Kansas City.
No,
or
it was
Cleveland?
it was Tampa.
Tampa.
Okay.
And he did just fine.
Yeah. Cam
So
Taylor
for
Britt.
those of you that don't know, Gregory Rousseau, data-wise, puts up. He's basically a mirror image of Trey Hendrickson. So you've got Trey Hendrickson going against Isaiah Prince. That's kind of scary to me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's not going to be left on an island. I don't think
He's
there's going to be a whole lot of
help.
scat protection.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that I wish I took my own advice a little better when it comes to this, but it was one of the best things I was ever taught when I coached, and that is it's never as bad as it seems, and it's never as good as it seems. So if you're in panic mode, calm down.
Mhm.
And if you guys if you thought La'el Collins was doing good, one, he wasn't. Call it what it is, it just wasn't. And if they're both about the same level of production, if you thought one was good and one was bad, you're probably not losing too much.
Right.
The issue is Rousseau's really, really good. But at the same time, based on the data I'm looking at here, so Hendrickson has 58 total pressures on what's his pressure rate here? So he's got 58 total pressures on 369 pass rush snaps, which is 15.7%. Rousseau has 37 total pressures on 276, which is 13%. I mean, they're about the same. The biggest difference is Hendrickson has 18 quarterback hits. Rousseau has 4. Hendrickson still kind of gets there. Rousseau either pushes the pocket a little bit or finishes.
Right.
He's not going to be someone that's just constantly laying into Joe Burrow like Hendrickson lays into other quarterbacks. So there is a little bit of a difference in terms of consistency with finishing the pass rush. It's a constant pass rush. It's going to be relentless, and it's going to be very frequent. But he doesn't always get home. So have a little patience. It's going to be okay. He's going to get help. You'll have a running back. You'll have a tight end to chip. Hayden Hurst is back. P. Ryan's going to be back there a lot. And the best thing that slows a pass rush is a run game. And Buffalo's run defense, I don't even know where it's at. So
They even said it could be a rotational thing too.
it could be. And that tells me we're going to start Prince, and if it sucks, here comes Hakeem.
Right.
Believe me, that guy's going to be locked and loaded on the sideline. That's not going to be a
And you'll still see him on his normal package where he comes in as the 6th lineman too.
Yeah. Well, no, when he comes in. Go ahead.
Sorry, Greg. If you buy into Pro Football Focus's grades for the teams, Buffalo is the 27th ranked run defense. So there's that.
I don't even want to hear that.
What data would you like to hear for run defense? I know
Every time I hear that, we can't run the ball.
Well, what data you want to hear?
I don't want to hear any. Just
NFL team.
shelve it.
No,
I don't want to hear it.
the people need to know, Daniel.
What I want to know, and we won't know till probably tomorrow afternoon. I want to know what's going on with Hubbard.
I don't know.
We'll see.
The
I
Bills.
mean, he wasn't practicing very hard when he was practicing. He was being kind of gentle out there. Careful.
4.3 yards per attempt is what they're giving up.
Sounds pretty average. Maybe just a little worse than average.
They're 4.3. We're 4.2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're right in the middle of the pack. They've given up 1,500 rushing yards this year, which is kind of bottom of the pack. People don't run much on them, probably because they're constantly having to throw.
Right,
Yes.
they're behind. Right.
And you got to remember, yeah, I mean they're up a lot. What about their rushing offense? I know that's a lot of Allen too.
5.3 yards per carry, 143, we'll call it, yards a game. That's on 405 attempts and 2,100 yards, a little more.
How much of that is the quarterback?
I'll tell you here in just a second.
Josh Allen,
746 yards.
it's a lot.
Yes, that is
By the way,
that is 44 behind Devin Singletary.
So they have 1,400 rushing yards
right.
on how many carries? We're doing a lot of our. This is the legwork that you guys normally don't see.
Right.
Not ultra prepared for the show tonight. Let's see. So rushing, he's got
doing just fine.
115 carries. So they've got 2,100 yards on 350 carries. Or they've got 1,400 yards on 350 carries outside of Allen.
Yeah.
Which is just about 4 yards carry. If Allen's not running the ball, they're not running well.
Right.
So just contain Allen.
Well, that's why you need Hubbard.
Yeah, he's excellent at that.
Yep. Yeah. And the other stat that you had told me a couple weeks ago was that I think you said when he gets out of the pocket, he's got the highest quarterback rating of any quarterback in the NFL.
He might, but he also the other stat I told you.
Well, he does throw a lot of picks too.
Well, the other stat I told you, which is the one I thought you were going to bring up.
The fumbles. Yeah.
He's got 13 fumbles this year.
Mm-hmm.
That is a metric ton.
He is a reckless quarterback. And it can work for him, but it can certainly blow up on him too.
He's definitely gunslinger mentality in a tight end's body. He's fast Roethlisberger is what he is. He is. He's because Roethlisberger was mobile. He just never had the wheels. If you put wheels on Roethlisberger, that's what Josh Allen is.
Yeah. Bengal Dad, Sam Hubbard is officially listed as questionable.
Okay, so it's going to be a game time decision.
Yeah, as of today, too.
Bengal Dad, going back to what you're saying, somebody gets hurt, somebody can always fill in.
They've done a great job of that this year.
I'm not worried. Like I say, I want Hubbard to play like you all do, but I'm not going to worry. I have faith in the system.
Yeah, I think the Hubbard injury is worse than the Leal Collins injury.
No, it is. 100%. Yes.
I would agree with that, yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Also, I do want to look at what kind of pressure Josh Allen's been getting on him this year. Because everybody and their brother always loves to tell me how much pressure Joe Burrow gets, which, by the way, is not much anymore.
Do you think that's Bobby Hart's wrestling name? Bobby the Turnstile Hart?
Bobby the what?
The
turnstile. Yeah, the human turnstile. Let's see here. So the way you judge pressure is it's called a dropback percentage. What percentage of your dropbacks result in pressure? For reference, Tom Brady has the least amount of pressure per dropback. Okay, 19% of Tom Brady's dropbacks are pressured. That's not sacks. That's not hits. That could even just be him going, oop, I got to shimmy to the left a little bit before I throw. That's considered a pressure. You make a move, right? 19%. So 81% of the time, Tom Brady's clean as a whistle. The second least pressured quarterback in the entire NFL and the least pressured quarterback in the AFC this year per dropback is Joe Burrow. So for everybody that says Joe Burrow is always under pressure, you're dumb. First and foremost. 26% of the time is the least pressured quarterback in the AFC. Allen ranks 8th in the NFL at 33.4%, which I still deem high. For reference, last year, Joe Burrow seemingly was getting hit every play. Last year, Joe Burrow was 34%. So take our offensive line from last year and Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Go get them, Trey.
So we're going to
win. They don't have a great line. They don't. And they don't run well unless Josh Allen runs. Sound familiar?
I think what's going to scare me the most tomorrow in this game is when he unleashes it about 50 yards down.
I know. Every time he uncorks it, we're going to be
Because
going,
the Bengals tend to have a little bit of a case of the goo on these really deep balls. And
I know.
they've been getting lucky where they've had people open and they've been overthrown or something's happened.
Drop.
That scares me a little bit.
And Stephon Diggs is a monster.
Yes,
Yeah,
Gabriel, that guy Gabriel. Don't count him out either.
Right.
I mean, they've got, and the other one that I used to love, and I got shit on so much when I had such a high grade on him coming out of college, was Isaiah McKenzie.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I think it was halfway through last year, Dad and I were watching a Bills game, and he caught some kind of little pass and made a guy miss and scored. And I looked at him and I was like, I am so glad someone figured out how to use him because I loved him since he was at Georgia. And he's starting to really get it going. I mean, he's kind of like Andrew Hawkins, for those of you that don't know.
Baby Hawk.
Oh, yeah, Baby Hawk.
So think Baby Hawk, Gabe Davis. I'm trying to think of a comp for him that would be Bengalish. Maybe Chris Henry, tall and fast. And Diggs and Jamar Chase are very similar types of receivers.
Yeah.
So
I saw a stat. I was on Twitter, but I don't know who to tell you stated it, and I'm going to kind of guess what it said again, but I think I'm close.
okay,
I think
paraphrase.
it said the Bengals were number 2 in defense in stopping the number 1 receiver from the opposing team, but we're number 30 in stopping the number 2 receiver on the opposing team. Yeah.
What? There's a lot of numbers there.
So if that's the case, it is is it Gates?
Gabe Davis.
Number 13? Oh, Gabe Davis.
Yeah, Gabriel Davis.
Number 13 is the one that's going to, if those statistics are accurate, or is the one to worry about.
And he'll have a game where he'll put up 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. He did it in the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he will. I mean, he was the guy that was catching all the touchdowns in that Chiefs game.
Yeah, and he cooked the Steelers, I think, in one of the early games, or maybe it was the opener of the Bills. I don't know who he cooked, but he had the 97-yard touchdown. I think he had 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, he's a problem. But I think the Bengals have done a good job of going into these games not overthinking or sleeping on someone, or they don't look 2 and 3 weeks ahead anymore. I think they're pretty focused on the task at hand, and they don't take anyone lightly.
Lou.
Sweet Lou.
Sweet Lou.
Enjoy the next month or so of Lou, because I'm not
Mad
sure he's coming back.
I have to ask you all this question, flat out. Lou Anarumo or Mike Zimmer?
Lou.
I like Lou's second half adjustments.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mike Zimmer had one way of doing it.
Pressure.
What's up,
Yes.
Justin?
But
Yeah, Mike Zimmer.
Mike was fun because it was constant pressure and it was constant heat. But for the most part, it worked. Lou, it's the best way I've ever seen it put, and I think it was John Sheeran. It was John or Jake Lisco, one of the two, said it was an amoeba defense 2 years ago. And I'm like, that's the best way to put it, because there's no one front that I feel. I'm sure if you look at the numbers, they favor an odd front more than an even front. I'm sure, one way or the other.
Right.
But if you ask, and you all have watched games with me where I'm on offense or we're on offense, and I can go, okay, they're going to go here, and boop, I can tell you, or I can probably say, hey, the next couple plays they're probably going to go this, that.
Mm-hmm.
Dad got to the point a couple years ago where he stopped wanting to watch games with me because he got so mad that I would tell him what was happening before it happened. Defense, I have no clue. I cannot tell you what personnel is going to be out there. I can't tell you what coverages they're going to try. It is the thing that used to piss me off when I was starting to figure out football was I would look at Dad, and I don't know how many times I would say this. If some fat kid on a couch in Cincinnati can tell you what play the Bengals are going to run next, you don't think a defensive coordinator for the Steelers can figure it out too?
Yep.
Yeah.
With Lou, I have no clue what they're going to do. And I've always prided myself on feeling like I've got a pretty good pulse on what the Bengals want to try to do. I can't figure out Lou. I
haven't heard this nickname, Ludini.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
That's good.
That is good.
He's just smart. I mean, it's one of those things where They've drafted the right kind of player for what they want to do, and what they want to do is whatever they need to do. They're not one of those stubborn organizations that say, we're going to beat you our way. They're going to go, okay, well, if you're running this offense, this defense beats it, so I need to make sure I've got guys that can do this. Or, just whatever they are what they need to be at the moment. They're not someone that tries to force their identity to win a game. Their identity is winning, and winning is what we need to do. They're not too proud. They're not too egotistical. They're just going to go out and morph themselves into whatever works best for the situation. And when you've got guys that are versatile, like Sam Hubbard, and guys that are versatile, like Cam Sample and your Gunthers of the world, and you've got guys that do take, risky chances that pay off, like Jermaine Pratt. And I know he's not everybody's favorite player right now, but Jesse Bates, I've seen line up and man in the slot. I've seen him as a linebacker, sub-package safety. I've seen him play deep half. I've seen him play quarter. I've seen him play center field. I've seen him come down and play the hole in a robber. I've seen him do everything. I mean, those same with Hilton, same with Von Bell. There's so many guys in that defense that it's like, okay, just go do this. And that you would probably never hear the phrase in that locker room, that's not my position. Those guys don't give a shit. They just go, okay, and go do it. They're not safeties or corners or linebackers. They're football players, and they understand what they need to do. And I don't know what kind of culture it took for Zach and Lou to build that, but it's freaking perfect, and I love it.
Speaking of defenses, and I don't know what game I was watching today, so I'm not very prepared because I have a bunch of these. I don't know what it is, but here's what I saw. I saw a team do something I've never seen before.
All right.
They rushed 0 and dropped 11, and they got a pick.
Yes!
You had all 5 offensive linemen standing there with nobody in front of them, not knowing what to do, and the guy threw a pick.
I think it was the Lions.
Was it the Lions?
I think because
it was one of the early games today. I saw it, and I thought,
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
I don't know if they didn't rush anybody or not, but I remember Aiden Hutchinson getting a pick.
That was it.
And I was like, how was he so far downfield? And he knifed in front of a receiver.
No, I'm watching it, and the announcer right away said, they're dropping 11. There's nobody rushing. He gets a pick.
And the quarterback threw it short with nobody rushing.
Yep.
No pressure. No need for a sack. You could sit down and wait, But
Which is not that I suggest we do that against Josh Allen, but keep him in the pocket. Do not let him Roethlisberger you.
Yeah.
Keep him in the pocket.
Yep.
That's going to be a Logan Wilson job, I think. He's going to be spying him a lot.
It's got to be someone that can be a for sure tackler.
I'll tell you one guy that I don't ignore in the linebacker crew. I know he doesn't get enough snaps. Akeem Davis Gaither. I know Santori, that's your guy coming out of the draft that one year. But Davis Gaither, that time against Lamar last year where they had him just stay in the middle and everybody else was playing deep or right at the line. Gaither did a great job against Lamar. I don't think he gets enough credit at times when he comes in.
I don't think he does either. He's a freak athlete.
Yes.
And that's why I wanted him. Because I wanted I've always wanted a defense, the one that like Lou's building, where I can just plug and play. And when I was watching him, I was like, I could put him anywhere. There were times where I felt comfortable, like he might be able to play slot if it's a soft zone. I'm not going to ask him to cover anyone downfield, but if he just needs to be a flat defender out there, I'm sure he could do it. But I love him.
I'm sure you miss Hardy Nickerson, right?
Oh yeah, miss him so much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I hope he's doing well at McDonald's or wherever he's at.
Yeah, Hardee's.
Hey, I want to give you an update here because this is a team that we're going to be rooting for next week. The Niners are leading the Raiders 27-24 with 4:29 to go. Raiders have the ball down to the San Francisco 39.
Ooh, spicy.
If they can hang with the Niners, they can certainly hang with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Niners defense.
Niners are better than the Chiefs. I think they're better than the Chiefs. They play both sides of the ball.
That's blasphemy. You're not allowed to say that.
Yeah, I know we're not allowed to say that. They're better than the Chiefs with a third-string quarterback.
Okay, now the last time I put something out there, I looked really, really dumb when the Vikings had the largest comeback in the history of like all of football. Are they still losing? Because they're not good.
Yeah,
Vikings.
They're losing bad. I got it on. They're losing 34-3. Okay. 11 minutes left. Kirk Cousins threw a pick, and the Packers now have it down on the 9-yard line, 1st and goal.
I'll go ahead and say this. Unless the Titans somehow squeak in, they are the worst team in the playoffs this year.
Oh, hot take.
The worst. They're terrible.
Easily. But I tell you what, Malik Willis, that wasn't a bad decision. Draft him in the 2nd round. How's he been doing?
Don't know.
Nope.
They're losing. You can't be great.
And my fun fact from this afternoon that I was talking to you about, Tyler, or Santori. This might be the first playoff grouping of teams that feature 3 teams that have a combined 0-11 record in the Super Bowl.
Yep. Vikings, Bills, Bengals.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks.
Somebody hopefully will find the pot of gold at the end.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah,
And
and
we're
here,
one
I
of those
want to
three.
say, I do want to go out on record and say this. And Dad, we talked about it at length today. I have zero animosity toward Buffalo. Their fans have been great.
Yep.
I've watched
Oh, yeah.
several games with Josh Allen over the years. I have no issues with anybody on that roster. I think with the exception of maybe Bobby Hart, and he's more a transplant than a Buffalo Bill.
Right.
If the Bengals don't make it, I hope the Bills do. I'll be rooting. If the Bengals get knocked out, even if it's by the Bills in an AFC Championship game, hope it doesn't happen. But even if they're the one that gives us the, final shot to the heart, I'll still be rooting for them to win a Super Bowl. I know what it's like to not have one. They've been through enough pain like we have, and their fans have been freaking awesome to us over the last 5-6 years, whatever that weird friendship has been.
Yeah.
If it's not us, I hope it's them. I'll go out and say that.
Packers just scored again.
And the Niners and the Raiders are now tied at 27 with 4 minutes to go.
Woo!
Damn.
All right.
Holy cow.
Dad, is there anybody you'd like to see win if
The Bengals.
the Bengals aren't the team?
No, I'll stop watching.
That's not true.
That's pretty true.
Nope, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Bengal Dad. When I was at your
I'll watch the Super Bowl, but I'll shut everything else off.
Right.
I'll watch the
We'll
Super
put it this way: and I'm trying to pull
I
this
know.
one out of you.
I know what you're doing.
If the Bills make the Super Bowl, are you rooting for them?
No.
Ooh,
I never root for the AFC if the Bengals aren't in there.
touche. That's fair.
I don't root for the National League and the World Series if the
What if
Reds
it's
aren't
the
in
Cowboys? You can't root for the Cowboys.
there. I wouldn't have a rooting interest in that
I was
game.
going to say, or the Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do this twice. You're gonna
I would
root for
be
them?
if I had a root for a team to make it from the NFC,
Eagles.
it would be Green Bay if they make it.
Oh, I like the Eagles. I always kind of
Eagles
have.
are like the Eagles. They're like my second favorite. I had to pick one.
I grew up watching T.O. and Brian Westbrook and McNabb when the Bengals weren't on. So, I mean, I have a soft spot for them. That was a really, really fun team around 05-06.
No,
I've always kind of had a soft spot for the Eagles.
I think the Eagles are in a little bit of trouble. They lost Hurts, but even if he comes back, Hurts doesn't play defense. They're giving up a lot of points.
Well, a lot of times that's true, but you can give up a lot of points if your offense goes down because you're not sustaining drives. Your defense is out there longer.
Well, they lost.
It can have a residual effect.
What they lose 41-35 or something to the Cowboys. So they scored a lot of points, and they gave up a lot of points.
And that's true too.
And today, Andy Dalton sliced and diced him. He was 8 for 8 to start. At one point, he was like 14 of 15. And the cheese man, the grilled cheese.
That's
There he
a
is.
perfect.
Andy.
He played
Perfect
like Tom and
segue.
She today. He played like Tom and She today.
Yes.
That's a perfect segue.
Perfect segue to Lutheranisms.
to Lutheranisms. We've got 4 good ones for you, and Greg special ordered these. He let us pick the players, but he said, "Give me some real bad players, so I can tell you what foods I don't like." He said, "I'm tired of getting good ones. Give me some bad ones." And first and foremost is one of my dad's favorites, Achilles Smith.
Oh, nothingness.
Achilles Smith.
That's Andre Smith. Achilles, the quarterback.
Achilles. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
So I was going to say tortilla soup, but I found out Santori likes it, so I'll think of something else. Cold oatmeal. I don't even like oatmeal in general, but when you have oatmeal cold, it's like, what am I doing here? I mean, I'm throwing it out the window. I'm starving for the day. Cold oatmeal. There you go.
Just wet.
Now, this
goo.
next one, I'm a big fan of. This one I got good. This is the worst. He was worse than Achille, from my understanding.
Oh, I think your understanding's wrong, but we'll go for it. David Klingler.
Okay.
Ooh.
So I get home one day from school or whatever. I'm starving as hell. And I have this weird stench in the house. I'm like, Mom, what the hell is that? She's like, oh, it's tuna roll up. It smells bad. It tastes even worse when you take a bite. You're ready to puke. You're ready to go home. You're hoping there's Hot Pockets in the freezer or something. Other than that, you're starving for the rest of the night. So he is tuna roll up. Yep, fish punk.
That's an interesting poll question. Who was worse, Klingler or Achille Smith?
No, Bengal Dad, who does your vote go to?
I think it goes to Achille. Klingler had talent, but Achille was just bad.
What was either Achille? No, we could have had Dante Culpepper. I mean, Donovan McNabb. Or
you got to remember, Klingler was bad as a byproduct of getting.
We could have had Couch.
Klingler was bad as a byproduct of getting his brains beat in, though. I mean, you want to talk about zero protection.
Couch actually wasn't really that bad. He just was on a crappy work. The Browns were just coming back. Well, the Browns were crappy for 20 years, so. And they still are.
Well, the stench is probably going to be worse for Achille Smith because that's the draft that we could have had the entire draft for the New Orleans Saints.
Right, because the way
Achille Smith.
How many? What did they offer us?
All 7 of their draft picks.
That's ridiculous.
Because isn't that because they wanted Ricky Williams? They wanted to move up and get Ricky Williams,
and which they still got, and they didn't have to do.
Yeah. They were sitting there going, "Oh, thank God."
What I remember is, when the Eagles took Donovan McNabb, all the Eagles fans had Pick Rick and all that, and all the Eagles fans were booing the hell out of Donovan McNabb. But who got the last laugh on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so who we got for the Bills players?
Trent Edwards.
I know who Trent Edwards is.
He was a very high draft pick at quarterback for them in 2008, and he just never panned out.
Oh, the name sounds somewhat familiar.
He was number 5, if that helps.
Okay, no, I can do this. I can think of a crappy food here. What's a vegetable I don't like? Well, I like celery with wings, but I normally don't like celery in general. It's like celery, It's just you take a bite out of it, you're like, ugh. We'll say celery.
Yeah, but you said vegetable, and my mind went Veggie Tales. I don't know if Dad remembers Veggie Tales or not.
I do actually remember that.
He's just Bob the Tomato.
Okay, that's cool. Well,
very forgettable. Last but not least, our very favorite Buffalo Bill, Bobby Hart.
Bobby Hart was like a candy heart. I never cared for them. They were hard to chew on. I couldn't stand it. He was a candy heart.
Here we go. That's basically what they are. Just chalky antacid.
Funny.
Exactly.
All right. Last little segment here. We'll jump off. So we're coming up on an hour, and then I need to skedaddle over to Bengal Dad's house and root for the Steelers.
Root against the Ravens.
Root against the Ravens. Is that the best way to put it? I don't know. I did a 7-leg parlay, and all of them were Steelers.
You're rooting for the Ravens to lose is what you're doing.
Sleeper player of the week for the Bengals. Who we got? Go ahead.
I'm gonna go Trent. I'm not Trent Irwin. You guys go on ahead. I'll think of this one.
Let's see. Well, the Vikings scored. Sorry. I'm going to go with. I'm going to go Joe Mixon. I know he's not a sleeper, but I think he's the guy that needs to step up. I think if he's got a good rushing game, I think we're going to be good.
Bengal Dad.
All right, I'm going to go. My sleeper player will be P. Ryan, but I'm also going to say player that creates the turning point. Mike Hilton. I can see him blitzing off the side and getting one of those deflected passes off of Josh Allen, and creating havoc and having something happen that turns the tide of the game.
You know what I'm going to say now? I got it perfectly. You guys ever seen the movie Good Will Hunting?
Yep.
Do you like apples? How do you like them apples? That's what I'm going to say to the Bills
If
fans.
Eli Apple gets a pick of Josh Allen on Monday Night Football this late in the season, Twitter is
I'm
going to
going
break
Eli
it
Apple. What
down.
is the bet for Eli Apple to get that interception?
Oh, let's find out.
No, I'm just kidding. But
No, I want to know. It's
But no,
probably
I'm going Eli
astronomically
Apple.
high.
I'm so tired of people picking on Eli. I'm going to go Apple.
It's easy to pick apples. They're just low hanging fruit.
So who's your pick, son?
It's not really a sleeper. I need BJ Hill to play contain and get a really good forward push. The worst pressure on the planet is pressure right up the middle, right in your lap. I trust Reader to get it. Hill's been a little hit or miss this year, especially for the fact that we're paying him $10 million a year. I would have liked to have a little bit more productive season as of right now. But that interior pressure, especially because he has a tendency to bat some passes down too. I think that 3 technique spot is going to be impeccably important in this game. So I'm going to go BJ Hill.
All right, I got 2 things before we exit. Number one, did everybody see the app on Bengals.com about lighting up the stadium?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's going to be a cool thing. So I hope everybody does that. I think that'll be just so neat. And secondly, is everybody meeting at the Bomb Squad?
Yep, lot 1.
What time are you guys all getting down there?
He's
So
going to pick. He'll probably. I bet we're there at 6.
That's what I told Greg. I'm hoping to be down there about 6 or 6:30.
Yeah, it'll be earlier than 6:30.
Well, if we leave,
if you get off work at 5, it will happen.
Well, I was hoping to leave Beachmont by 5:30.
Yeah, if you leave Beachmont 5:30, you'll be parked before 6.
James, when are you getting down there? You said.
We're going to get down there about 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll be down there. That'll be doing some Bengal bomb shots.
Oh yeah.
He likes both ingredients of that, Jaeger and orange soda.
There you go.
I'm looking for the UDF malt truck.
Yeah. There'll be wings down there. I guarantee you'll have no problem finding chicken wings.
I guarantee you someone's going to be making buffalo wings.
And I am not jumping on the table.
No, you don't jump on it. You jump through it.
I'm not jumping through it, on it, around it, over it.
Right.
I'm not doing anything.
I'll go through one.
No table dancing for me.
I'm wearing this hat because the good berries will be there.
Yeah, I've got my hat too. Hoping to run into Glenn.
Tonight I'm wearing it. I'm wearing my normal hat, my Cincy hat that I've been wearing that we're winning.
I don't know what hat I'm going to wear. Really quick anecdote before we jump off here. I win podcast friend, Twitter friend of the year, as claimed by me, but probably backed by Parker.
No, you're a chauffeur.
I'm not a chauffeur, first and foremost. Gave him multiple places on recommendations to eat. He said I was a hit on every single one of them. We all went out to Montgomery Inn. I've got a picture somewhere of him. I think I put it on Twitter
with the bib.
With the bib, he was like the first thing I think he said when he tried the sauce is, "Oh my God, this is good, but it might get a little bit messy." And then I was like, "Oh, they'll put a bib on you." And he's like, "I'm not sure if I need." And before he could say, "I'm not sure if I need to do that," the guy legit showed up. He said, "Did someone say bib?" And he went, "Oh." And they started wrapping a bib around him. And I took a picture. He looked like a kid in a candy store. I loved every second of it. Oh, my God. He was so happy. We had ribs, chicken, shrimp. They brought out graters. It was a great time. So Parker, I believe, is still floating around Cincinnati, having a ball somewhere. I'm trying to get him to jump on the Holtman's train. I know he's had Geta, he's had Skyline, he's had Gold Star.
What do you like better? Which one do you like better?
I will not out him on what he said he liked better.
You'll text us.
That is a conversation that he can have with his peers.
Okay.
I'm
I'll
not
text
going
him.
to start any kind of fires here.
All right.
But he's having a ball. I think the thing that I think almost brought a tear to his eye, because for those of you that don't know, he was born in Lexington and lived there, I think, for just a very, very short period of time, and then moved out to Utah. His dad is a huge fan of Grippos, and I pulled up to the place he's staying. I had a giant bag of Grippos. Shout out to my wife; she put together a very, very, very nice Cincinnati care package for him.
Nice.
Which included Uno chips, Geta, Grippos, all Rheingeist, the whole 9 yards. He's like, I've never actually had these, but my dad talks about them like crazy. He said they're my favorite. So I can't wait to have these when we get back. I was like, when we get back, we're going to get barbecue. Like, just eat it now. He opened it, stuck his face in the bag, took a deep breath, and went, oh my God. And he and his lady were both start destroying the bag of Grippos in the parking lot. He's like, these are so good.
That's awesome.
He's like, where do you get these? And there was a gas station behind us. I was like, probably there. They're like literally everywhere in this city. So I hope he's still having a great time. He should be down at the tailgates for anybody that wants to meet him.
Yep.
But wanted to document that a little bit, that I think he's been here for 4 days and he's only consumed foods that are produced in Cincinnati.
Nice.
So he is going to turn into a giant block of Cincinnati something by the time he goes back to Utah.
That's great. That is too good. I love it. I know he was super excited.
Mm-hmm. He's having a great time. He really is.
That's awesome.
I'm not just a chauffeur.
Yeah,
Even though I did pay for valet parking, which is kind of like being a chauffeur.
Last score update before we get off of here. The Niners have scored a touchdown. They're up 34-27. There's about 2 minutes left. Stidham just completed a 45-yard pass to Devontae Adams. Are down to the 19-yard line.
Did he? Because I got Devontae on fantasy, and that helps me out a lot. I'm in the championship round, and I don't know how I got there.
That's
I haven't
fun.
looked in 5 weeks, and I looked this week, and it said I was in the championship.
I think the Raiders should have made this move about 15 weeks ago.
I mean, it's McDaniels is still the coach there, right? Like, they can't fire him because of the money thing.
Yep.
Well, Stidham is McDaniels' boy. I'm pretty sure McDaniels drafted him in New England. And they've had a lot of they've had a lot of time together here. Where's my fantasy?
They're on the one.
They down to the one now?
First and goal on the one, it says.
Yeah. Well, they ought to take a knee for about a minute and a quarter.
I'll tell you what. I started freaking Herbert today in fantasy because I thought Tom Brady wasn't going to help me, and oops, Herbert got 13 or 14 points for me or whatever he got, and Brady had like 50.
I heard a fun fact about Herbert also.
What'd you
He's
hear?
number 5 in the NFL in throwing passes behind the line of scrimmage. 26% of all of his passes are behind the line of scrimmage.
That's some serious
You
stuff.
would not think with Herbert that would be the case.
Well, I mean, if his ribs are hurting him that bad, they might be trying to mitigate some of the depth of passing. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Passing concept. Oh, that's play action. I don't want that kind of shit. I like the average depth of target stats. Those are the ones that tell me how far you're really firing the ball downfield. By the way, for those of you that say that Burrow just is check down Charlie, on play actions, Joe Burrow, his average depth of target is number 2 in the AFC at 10.4 yards downfield. So just for reference, and on no play action, his average depth of target is I don't know. It looks bad now. Yeah, he's 24th on average depth of target without play action. So if we're under center and it's a play action, they're letting it rip. If he's back there by himself, it's quick. A little bit predictable, but it is what it is. Overall, I mean, average depth of target. He ain't a check down Charlie like everybody thinks he is.
Right.
All right, boys. Speaking of checking out, I'm checking out.
Dad, what time can I come over?
I really don't want you to. No, come on over.
Hey, One more thing before we check out.
Can you order pizza?
No,
everybody's wa-
Why?
I got barbecue pulled pork.
So
That's what we're eating.
I didn't make
Yes,
it.
sir,
It was
Greg.
good.
No, just before we all go here, to those who are watching, Wednesday, Tom Justin from Bengals and Jim Show, who I call the Bengals Almanac, will be on the show Wednesday. I think him and Bengal Dad. Bengal Dad, I think you and Tom need to ask each other questions back and forth and see who can stump the other.
I'm sure he'll win. If
I don't know.
if he's all that in a bag of chips, my memory's kind of eroding at this point.
All right.
It's all that
But yeah,
pork barbecue.
And by the way, the Raiders just scored again.
Yeah!
34-34.
Doesn't really
All
help
right.
me, but it's still fun to watch.
There's a chance next week with the Raiders.
Well, it also makes me feel good in case we run into the Niners that maybe they're just mortal too.
Yeah. All right,
Also,
boys. I will see you tomorrow.
All right, Bengal Dad, you skedaddle. I got one more talking point here. I know you want.
All right.
I know you want to leave us. It's okay.
Who day?
Good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Last thing before we jump off here. Did anybody see the video of the 49ers running out of the tunnel before the game?
No.
Came out with some guy with a giant red boom box with a giant 49 painted on the side. Instead of just like jogging onto the field or, having a little pregame, huddle or whatever, they were fucking dancing and hooting and hollering in the tunnel, acting like they're hot shit in a bag of chips. I can't stand that stuff before a game. They looked like they were already celebrating a win. And I just can't stand that stuff. Save that for the locker room. Save it for after the game. It's just, call me old school, call me old man yelling at clouds, whatever. It's just, I don't like it. I retweeted it and I was like, I hope they fucking lose because of this. Did you find it?
You shouldn't celebrate this right now before the game. 34-34.
Right.
Yeah, I got a game here, man.
I couldn't stand it. It's like you haven't done anything yet. Why are you I understand being excited and getting hyped and all that stuff. But there's a time and a place for it. And there's a time and a place for celebrating and all the extracurriculars. And it just, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. If my kids would have been acting like that. I'm trying to find the end thing too. Here it is. Like, I don't know.
And they're in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It just seemed a little much for me. Someone else's territory before a game just to get waxed by a backup quarterback.
Right.
I don't even know what's going on in the game anymore. I can't see it, but
Oh well.
it pissed me off. I'm a little bit more old school when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like keep after the game, sure, whatever. Celebrating beforehand, dude. That you talk about shit that's going to piss people off and bring out a little bit more dog in your opponent than you needed to. It's that kind of shit.
Right.
And here they are tied.
Yeah. So good job, guys. All right. Well, that's enough of me just yelling at clouds. It has no bearing on my life whatsoever or anybody else's, just a nitpicky thing. But thank you for joining us on a special Sunday night episode of Rally Around the Natty. If you all are going to the game tomorrow, feel free to stop by Bengal Bomb Squad. Come say hi, have a Bengal bomb, have a coney or wings or whatever they're having catered. Bring a little money for the collection hat. Helps them keep doing what they're doing.
Yep.
And or even if it's 50 cents, $1, whatever, no minimum, have fun, bring a penny. They'll take whatever they can get. It all goes toward good causes and charity. But thank you for joining us tonight. And fuck the Steelers, man.
There you go.